Hello again. Um, I'm a tad disappointed in myself today. Uh, I said that I would get onto the um, twice a week, yeah, twice a week cleaning thing plan, probably better. And seeing as it's Friday, I didn't do it today. Now, this is partially due to ignorance, and the other part is just because, like, a mixture of procrastination, blatant stupidity on my part. Um, there's no real excuse for it. It's just I fumbled really hard and I was ignorant of what was going to be happening. And so it became way later in the day and I just never did it. it and also, it was way less windy earlier in the day when I should have done it, when I actually had time to do it, and I just fucking didn't. Again, procrastination and stupidity coming in handy there. So, yeah, it's suffice to say I'm not really I'm not happy with myself. I did I did it on Monday, no issue. No issue whatsoever. But it was today in particular that felt like fate was giving me an opportunity to do it, to properly enact my plan, and instead of doing anything, I just kind of let fate take the wheel. Wrong option. Very wrong option. So, yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it technically didn't stain my record because, you know, there was that little vacation, I guess, where I couldn't have done it anyway, but still, it just feels really disappointing that even with like the first week that I'm actually healthy and capable of doing it, I fail instantaneously. I'd at least like to get one week in before I start failing. At least put up a fight. Uh, this is a lesson I've learned a lot. I'm just gonna do it when I have the time. If I know something's going on, there is no need to risk it. You're probably gonna be out a lot longer than you realize because you're traveling with your mom, and she's slow as fuck and likes to take a lot of detours. So, yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. Ugh, I actually really gotta stop doing that. Oh wait, this is the last video of the month. Okay. I completely forgot about that. Um, as a sort of summation of what I've done this month, last month particularly, I was very dissatisfied with how unhelpful my descriptions of how I was feeling that day was, and as of this month, I'm happy to report it was great. It was just much better, far more descriptive, did way more to convey just the general feeling of the day or what my strongest feeling was during the day. So it was really nice. Um, I've already talked about vacuuming. Fucking train wreck that was. And port use is actually pretty stable. Um, in terms of my next phase, I'm going to be restricting myself to only 3 times a day. And pleasantly, to my surprise, I haven't gone above 3 at all this month. Of course, this month does end on the 31st, which is rarely a Friday, so there's a chance that during Saturday and Sunday something happens, but so far it's been pretty fine. And this would also happen to mark my second month completing my challenge, because I can confidently tell myself I'm not gonna do it on this Monday. I'm just not. It's just not gonna happen. So, yeah. Um, in terms of reading, I've read a lot. Um, hell, if I really wanted to, I could kick things into overdrive uh, and complete the mainline Witcher series within the month. I'm probably not gonna do that, but I could. I'm I'm absolutely certain I could. So, yeah, and for context, the one of the minor goals that I had set this month was completing the second book in the Witcher mainline Witcher series. So, and every book after that one gets longer and longer. So, yeah, it just I think that's a pretty decent representation of either how much I'm enjoying the series or how much I'm actually capable of and just don't really give myself credit for. I also just don't own a lot of books that I want to read, so I'm probably a much faster reader than I give myself credit for. I mean, with this breakneck pace that I play video games at, it shouldn't really be all that surprising, or how much I'm able to binge some shows within like a week. It really shouldn't be surprising. I love entertainment, I love culture. This this book series is like a great manifestation of both of those, so I shouldn't be surprised. But I am, because I don't really feel like I have nearly as much patience for reading. I'm learning that maybe that's entirely wrong. So that's a that's a nice revelation, I guess. I made the fear video. If you've been keeping up with that, I made it of Wednesday this week. Um, it was nice, and I actually have a couple of ideas of how I'm going to do the series. I remember mentioning that I wanted to start with more existential stuff and then move on to more irrational physical fears. And I've realized that for the most part, irrational physical fears don't really have a place in that series. There's nothing to really figure out. It's just if you expose yourself long enough, you won't be scared of it anymore. And for the most part, it all just kind of stems from fear of the unknown. There's just not really much to explore there. While existential stuff, well, I mean, that's just the path to self-discovery, right? So I think I'm going to change the whole direction of the series as just existential sort of self-discovery. Because I really can't think of a reason why I'd want to talk about irrational fears. Because, I mean, when I really think about it, if I overcomplicate it in my head, sure, anything can be scary. But the things that are like actually frightening to me are, like I stated in the last video, stuff like a fear of myself or a fear of like attachment to others or even things. So yeah, the things I actually fear are a lot more existential, a lot more a lot more in the head, as you may uh, as you may say it if you have ever watched a pyrocynical video. So yeah, just kind of a thought I've had, and not really a thought, but where I want to take the series. I also noticed that every time I put a um, put a fear down in the notebook, it takes a lot of time to think about it, and that's mostly because of the whole existential ideal part. I wanted to start with it, and I'm glad I did, because if I started with physical, like irrational fears, like heights or arachnophobia, which I don't have that one, but just an example, I really wouldn't get very far, and the videos probably wouldn't inform me very much. It would be kind of useless. So, as far as that goes, I definitely want to change the overall outlook or the overall method of how I find fears. Mostly just brainstorming and, you know, looking around in myself, as well as from maybe outside perspectives, YouTube videos, shows, movies, books, video games, shit like that, to discover the things that like truly vex me and don't, and aren't just like, if I look at it long enough or I'm exposed to it long enough, it ain't gonna be scary. So yeah, just a general idea of where I want to take it. Not much in terms of actual major changes to the series in general, though. I'd like to keep it generally the same. If I and if I do actually come up with any changes, I'm I'm gonna tackle it in the next video that I make. So, um, and then I guess since I did add this month, as well as just in general, since it's there for minor goals, again, 3 days, I could complete some of them. But from my list, I'm not very helpful. I finished 3 of them. One of them I finished before the month even came in, which was finishing The Witcher 2. And I've already finished 2 of the other Witcher books and am like super close to finishing this one. So again, I guess you could call that short-sighted. I disagree because admittedly I fully surprised myself when I completed that on when I completed that on the last day of last month. So that's yeah, that's just overall a surprise. The net I did not finish 3. My eyes were playing tricks on me. I finished 2. The next one was finish Armored Core 6, a game that I was playing, and kind of just fell off, not necessarily because it was unfun or I wasn't invested in the story, but just a natural thing I do sometimes. I think it was also a mixture of going somewhere else and having other things I wanted to do at the time that kind of overrided it. So I'm definitely going to have to get back to it. Um, from way back from last year and even before that, technically, because I think going on 2 years I hadn't finished Final Fantasy 16. That I finished it this month. It was very good. I had a very good time. It was a very nice story, and the best way to summarize it, it was incredibly cinematic. And some of the other ones are a little more ambitious, perhaps. Um, some of them are difficulty based. Some of them are certainly difficulty based, and others are more bulk based. I have finishing both Fallout 1 and 2, so those games are actually pretty brutal. So difficulty and bulk because I want to finish both of them and not just one. But I do acknowledge I'm probably only going to end up finishing one of them by time I cross out that part of the goal. Um, Stuff like finishing Ace Attorney trilogy as well. That's literally 3 games. So, I mean, they're visual novels and they probably aren't super difficult, but 3 games is it's a bit much. Then there's stuff like Baldur's Gate 3, which infamously I am incapable of completing. So yeah, um, there's UP Psycho, a game that I saw on Steam, and then it was on sale for really cheap. I decided to get it. It's really fun. And then again, I just fell off of it. It was one of those ones where it was I play a lot day one, and I don't come back, which is similar to how I played Signalis, because I played a lot day one and then didn't come back for a while. And I was really happy when I finished Signalis because I fucking love that game. And I actually fucking love UP Psycho too, so just what the hell am I doing here, right? Shadow of Chernobyl. I have the whole Stalker. Well, aside from Stalker 2, I have the whole Stalker series, and it's very brutal. It is very tough. Another game that's just gonna be probably on this list for a while simply because of it. Um, Spiritfarer, not necessarily difficult, but definitely monotonous at times. It's not that I dislike the game, it can get a bit it can get a bit annoying at times and boring at times. So something that's going to be on and off. I also predict that's going to be there for a while. Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm probably not going to finish that game for a bit. It's another one of those really big RPGs that I'm just going to spend a lot of time in. And if it wasn't very obvious with my goal in reading the Witcher books, I want to play the games. And with me coming up on the end of this, and then when I read the prologue story, yeah, it is a prologue story of Season of Storms. I am going to be playing it along or reading it alongside the games, as well as the new one that's getting translated this fall. I should also be reading alongside the games, unless I somehow, unless I somehow finish the games before that. Which I mean, I love this. I love the series. I love the characters. I'm not going to count myself out. There is a high possibility that I could end up doing that. I'm not going to guarantee it because, again, very big games. Little bit of history. The original Witcher was actually too ambitious for CD Projekt Red, and if it didn't do well, they were going to go under. It did all right. As you could probably tell, Witcher 3, if you know anything, heralded as one of the best RPGs ever made. So, yeah, just there's that. A while ago, as in when I was still in high school, so about probably 3 to 4 years ago, um, a friend of mine gifted me the game Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. He did this a bit facetiously because at the time I had a really bad control over my anger, had incredible anger issues. And while I'd say it's better, I don't think it's necessarily like slowed down in intensity. I'm better at handling it before it happens, but when I do, it can get messy. Way more messy, and I get legitimately ashamed of myself while I'm having my outbursts. So, but I wanted to finish that. Or at least, as I put in the journal, get over it, which literally just means getting over the mountain in the game. But who knows? Maybe if it maybe if it shows itself to be too hard of a task, I really will get over it and just abandon the thing. But I don't know. I feel like I'm built of sterner stuff than that. I really just take extended breaks and come back. Example being Elden Ring. Probably my longest arc for fighting Melania because couldn't beat her, and it's currently happening with Bloodborne 2 because I can't beat the Orphan of Kos. And I'm taking an extended break from Bloodborne because of it, a game I vehemently love. So, yeah, this is more of just a pattern I do when things get too tough or I notice that I'm straying too far from the actual purpose of why I'm there. I take an extended break, and it helps a lot. In respect to Elden Ring, the break actually helped me beat Melania, and going through a majority of the DLC, which I'm still having that break with Elden Ring as well, because I can't beat the final boss of the DLC. I've beaten every other boss in the DLC. I actually actively sought them out because I didn't think I could beat the final boss, so why not do these guys to prep for it? And man, that final boss of the DLC is screwing me over. So I'm doing that sort of extended break, coming back. Obviously, there's patches in between then, but I have a feeling that it's long enough into the DLC, and I also picked up the DLC. Um, I also picked up and got to the boss of the DLC after the patches went into effect. So that's kind of just it's just kind of how it happened. It's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, who knows? Maybe they didn't fully intend it to be that way. Either that, or they were like, "We really fucked up." Either way, I'm more interested in beating the current version than the obscenely difficult version. Let's see where we get with that. Um, And I think that's all of what I've got in my minor goals. Just just a bunch of stuff that I had. Only two of them got complete. Finish time of content. Again, did that before the month even came in. And Final Fantasy 16, very fulfilling. And I think how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12. So 2 out of 12 isn't necessarily bad, especially since a lot of the tasks I have. Oh, I didn't cover one of them. The hardest task, in my opinion, that I've given myself as a minor goal here is P ranking P-2 in Ultra Kill. For those not in the know, uh, Prime Sanctum 2 is the hardest level in the game. And when I first played it, it took me 126 restarts. In quotes, it's more of just restarting from a checkpoint. It's not actually restarting the level. But it took me 126 of those, and I think it took me a little over 2 hours to actually beat for one level. And for reference, I think I think in order to get an S rank in time, you have to complete it within like 5 minutes. You know what? I don't know where my phone is. I'm gonna check that real quick. I forgot that tabbing out stops recording, so I'm gonna have to stitch this together. But, um, uh, for context, I was actually off by a 5 whole minutes. The actual time to complete it is 10, and I probably should have expected that considering it's the longest level in the game, I'm pretty sure. But for example of other levels, I think for the first Prime Sanctum, it was around 5 minutes that time because it was really just two bosses. This one it expands upon the two bosses idea by putting an enemy gauntlet filled with the hardest encounters in the game so far. So yeah, that's why it takes double the time. I don't know for sure that Prime Sanctum 1 is actually 5 minutes, but I would guesstimate that it's somewhere closer to that because both of the enemies are actually pretty tough to kill. So, um, but yeah, I that one is particularly difficult and what I think is probably my hardest challenge I've actually brokered to myself so far. It's it's something that I might actually have to start learning speedrun tech for, which I haven't had to do in a game that promotes speedrunning yet. So, yeah. I've got a rather robust list of difficulty ahead of me. So, that's cool. Um but 2 out of 12 ain't bad. The list is probably going to shorten um by next time though, as in I'm going to have less minor goals because I wanted to add a major goal. And that was, I think, sleeping. Specifically, tracking sleep times for more of a preparation of actually conditioning myself to go to sleep at a certain time and and conditioning myself to follow a sleep schedule more. I wanted to actually. I don't need a fourth goal for next month in that case, and it can line up perfectly with the next phase of the pornography conditioning or anti-pornography conditioning is a better way of putting it. So I guess come May, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try sticking to a sleep schedule more concretely. So yeah, that's a goal I have. But I'm going to actually use the. I'm going to try and ease up on the how I'm feeling, and instead use the text part to track when exactly I intend to go to sleep. So I do want to get back on the whole go actually sleeping in my room because for the past weeks I've been sleeping on the couch, which is great for your health. Oh God, it's very comfortable to sit on, but man, Swear to God, my shoulders are killing me. Um, and I've been mostly doing it because of the TV, because while I was in Arizona, I picked up the shitty habit of not being able to go to sleep unless there's sound again, which is a major falling. It was already there. I would spend some of my time out on the couch, sleeping with that, but it was only like on and off, and it really depended. I I want to actually start sleeping in my bed again without sound. So, um, for example, tonight I'm probably not going to do it because I actually forgot to do the video today, or I almost forgot to do the video today, and I remembered it's Friday, and I need to do it today. So, yeah, because of the extended exposure to screens, I'm probably not going to be able to sleep around the right time. So I'm just going to leave on some ambience, some sounds from like YouTube on the TV, turn on a sleep timer, and just doze off into oblivion. Um, well, like tomorrow, since I won't be having any of that stuff, go to sleep. Just fucking lay in that bed. Um, I do have a bit of an issue of like I don't actually use the 30 minutes I'm supposed to keep away from the screen by doing anything. So those 30 minutes can get awfully boring. And also since I don't use up a lot of my energy throughout the day, those 30 minutes aren't necessarily 30 minutes and they extend more out to an hour. I've also come to the realization that once those 30 minutes are up, I pretty much already started to go to sleep, at least my body speaking. I think I mentioned this before, but I've come to the conclusion that you don't have to be unconscious for your body to actually be sleeping. I've experienced it before, and I'm experiencing it now more often than ever because of my shitty implementation of habits. But, or I guess it's more just my shitty planning of this. And, um, it's kind of happening. That's the best way I can put it. It's kind of happening. I'm more just trying shallow stuff, seeing where I end up based off of more research, getting data, seeing what a more average time for sleeping is, and then actually going based off of that. A science-based approach. Takes a lot of time, but at the very least I can be a tad more active with this one. I think my biggest frustration, especially from this month, like no other, was that all of my goals just feel so passive. They hinge on waiting. The fear video, obviously, that is really just me making the video whenever I want. But the porn stuff, I am making progress every day. But holy shit, it doesn't feel like I'm making progress because I'm basically doing fucking nothing. And then the vacuum, of course I was frustrated with that. Like, how could I not be? And again, it is also just waiting. Do it on Mondays and Fridays. I'm just fucking sitting here, doing nothing. Yippee, I guess. It's it's very frustrating for my brain because it feels like I'm physically doing nothing when I kind of am physically doing nothing. So I wanted something that allowed me to have a bit more agency, something I do every day, and sticking to a sleep schedule. One, it's just way fucking healthier. I know that I'm gonna have stronger mental fortitude, and honestly, the porn things could probably get knocked out even faster if I actually had a good sleep schedule. And just in general, getting good sleep is integral to health. If I want to be healthier, I gotta do it. Of course, I could just get lucky in the genetic lottery, which I think I kinda did. Not fully sure. Probably should go to the doctor more often, that I could confirm it. But I think I got generally kind of lucky in the genetic lottery, so hopefully the sleep debt that I've definitely accrued from high school and school in general, as well as just everything else, can be paid off pretty easily, sleeping in on weekends, stuff like that. But I think this is the first step towards actually making healthier lifestyle changes. It increases mental acuity and just in general has basic, like, health benefits that literally everybody needs. So that's just the way it works. Um, and the mental acuity part, I think, is the most important. It would probably increase my willpower. I probably wouldn't feel so fucking stupid either. But it would, in the willpower department, it would probably allow, this is more speculation, but it would probably allow me to focus more on actually getting a healthier diet and stuff that contributes more to a healthier lifestyle. Um, Recently, I came across a video about the realities of eating cheap and how when you're eating cheap, there's not much of a variety in meal. It's mostly just eat shit that gives you basic nutrients, like the basic nutrients you need to exist. And that's it. You eat the same meal over and over again. No real variance really. And I kind of learned a lot from that. I mean, very clearly the fact that I am doing this, it shows that I'm not poor, but there's plenty to be learned from actually putting you in a scenario where you don't have the privileges of, well, being middle class in America. So, yeah, I think, and plus, with the more uncertain times that we're currently going through, it's probably a lot smarter to start living off of a more poverty oriented diet and lifestyle because it's things are getting more and more uncertain, so getting used to something like that might just be necessary. um, but aside from that, um, I suppose I have nothing else to say. I gotta break out my amateur editing skills again on a program that comes with the computer, I think. Um, and just kind of see what I can do to patch these two things together. So, I guess before it hits midnight, see myself next time.